After months of silence, your phone lights up with their name, and your heart still reacts before your mind can. You stare at the message longer than you want to admit, because a part of you remembers the version of them that used to matter a lot. The good morning texts, the late night talks, the way they once made you feel chosen without trying. And even if you told yourself you moved on, that one message quietly pulls everything back to the surface again. Sometimes people come back because they miss you. Sometimes they come back because they've missed how you made them feel. And sometimes they come back because silence got lonely. I learned that the hard way. 1. They finally noticed your absence. In the beginning, they assumed you would always be around. You were the one who replied first, the one who listened without judgment, the one who kept every conversation from fading away. Over time, they stopped putting in the same effort because your presence started to feel guaranteed. Then one day, you became quiet. You stopped chasing. You stopped filling every silence. You simply stepped back. That's when they finally felt the emptiness you had been quietly preventing all along. This is what many people don't expect. Sometimes, others don't recognize your importance until you're no longer available. It isn't always because they wanted to hurt you. Often, it's because people naturally adapt to what they have every day. When someone is constantly there, their value can become easy to overlook until their absence makes everything feel different. 2. They often miss how you made them feel, not always the relationship itself. This can be one of the hardest truths to accept. Sometimes what people long for isn't you as a person. It's the sense of comfort you brought into their lives. You were the one who made them feel heard. The one who offered support without asking for anything in return. The one who gave them peace when everything else felt overwhelming. When life becomes difficult again, their mind naturally goes back to the person who made those moments easier. That's why they sometimes reach out after a long silence. For a brief moment, their words seem genuine. They make you believe things might be different this time. But soon, the conversations become short again. The effort fades. The distance quietly returns. And before you realize it, you're left questioning every message, every silence, and every hope you allowed yourself to feel. 3. They assumed you would never stop being there. This truth can be difficult to face. Some people become convinced that you'll always leave the door open for them, no matter how many times they disappear. Why? Because whenever they came back, you welcomed them without anger. You replied with kindness. You forgave without demanding an explanation. You pretended their absence hadn't affected you. Without either of you saying a word, a pattern was created. They began to believe, no matter how little effort I make, they'll still be here when I return. That's where the real pain begins. Not simply because you cared about them, but because, little by little, you accepted inconsistent attention as enough. You started believing that occasional affection was something to hold on to, even when you deserved steady care all along. 4. Sometimes they come back just to see if you still care. This can be difficult to recognize. Not every message is sent because someone wants to rebuild the relationship. Sometimes They're simply wondering if they still have a place in your heart. So they send a short message. Hey, it's been a while. How have you been? I thought of you today. Just a few simple words, but those words can reopen feelings you worked hard to heal. You begin replaying old memories while they may have already moved on with their life. I used to believe that every return meant they wanted another chance. Now I understand that sometimes people reach out only to reassure themselves that they still matter to you, not because they're ready to truly come back. 5. They miss who they were with you. This is something many people don't realize at first. Sometimes people don't return because they've changed. They come back because they remember how different they felt when you were in their life. Maybe those days felt more peaceful. Maybe they felt accepted without pretending. Maybe your presence gave them a sense of calm they haven't been able to find anywhere else. So when life becomes overwhelming again, their thoughts naturally drift back to the place where they once felt understood. But remembering that feeling isn't the same as being ready for a healthy relationship. A person can genuinely miss what you shared and still lack the emotional maturity to give you the love, consistency, and effort you deserve. 6. They thought silence would erase your feelings. Some people don't leave because they have all the answers. They leave because avoiding difficult conversations feels easier than facing them. Instead of explaining how they feel, they become silent. They hope enough time will make the emotions disappear on their own. But feelings don't always fade just because people stop talking. Sometimes they're only pushed into the background. Then, after weeks or even months, they reach out with a simple message. Nothing dramatic, just enough to see if the connection is still there. And suddenly your mind is filled with questions. Do they truly miss me? Or do they just want to know they can still reach me whenever they choose? That uncertainty can stay with you for days. Not because you're emotionally weak, not because you can't let go, but because unresolved endings leave questions that the heart naturally wants answered. When someone returns after a long silence, it's normal to feel hope, frustration, relief, sadness, and confusion all at the same time. Some relationships don't end with one final goodbye. They slowly drift apart, then unexpectedly reappear. Those quiet endings are often the hardest to move on from because they never gave you the clarity you needed. If this feels familiar, remember this. You don't need to explain every emotion you're carrying. Sometimes, admitting, I'm still trying to understand what this means, is more than enough.